this and we'll get started. Okay, great. Thank you everyone who is joining us live. We are recording this and I will share this with families interested in our financial aid program. So you'll have that as a resource to go back to and refer to. But welcome. We have some slides to take you through that we're hoping will illuminate our financial aid process at Get In School. And then of course, we will be able to, if you're joining us live, be able to answer any questions you might have. My name is Ken Bender and I'm the Director of Enrollment Management, and I am part of the Financial Aid Committee. And I'm here with two of my colleagues. I'll let them introduce themselves now.
Yeah, hi, I'm Rajeshwari Sachdeva. I'm Assistant Head of School for Justice, Equity, Inclusion. It's a new role and I am part of the Financial Aid Committee as well.
And I'm Mindy Huffman. I'm the Director of Finance and Operations at Get In School, and I'm also a member of the Financial Aid Committee.
Okay, so let's get started. The first thing I want to mention is that if at any point through the process of applying for aid at Get In School, we do have an email that's designated for communicating with the committee. And Mindy, if you could jump to the next slide. If at any point you need to reach out with questions about your financial aid application or our financial aid process, we do ask that you kindly direct your communication to financialaid@getinschool.org. And again, we will share this presentation so you'll have that to refer back to, but that is the preferred email address for you to direct all of your questions and inquiries to that support email. So our mission at Get In School is to leverage our financial aid program as a tool to create access to families who would not otherwise be able to afford the full cost of our program. By creating greater financial access to more families, we strive to add great families from diverse backgrounds. So we recognize as a tuition-based school that can be a barrier to families accessing our education community, and we want to do whatever we can to address those barriers, and financial aid is one mechanism in which we can use to address the barrier that cost can have to attending Get In School. So we really strongly encourage families, if our approach to teaching and learning and our learning community resonates with you and you would like to have your child attend here, but cost is a barrier, please do engage our financial aid program so that we can hopefully set your tuition at an appropriate level. Oops, I think we skipped slide. There we go. So just some data related to financial aid and the impact it has on our community. For this current school year, about 30% of our students are receiving financial aid. That's approximately 65 of the 200 students enrolled. Our aid amounts range from anywhere between 10% to 100% tuition. Aid is awarded across all our grade bands, and our grade bands are preschool through 5th grade. And we committed a total of $1,007,000 in financial aid to qualifying families. So what does financial aid apply to. It applies to our school tuition. We do have a mostly all-inclusive tuition model, so that includes all of our extended day programs and our field trips. In addition, your financial aid level will apply to all of our day camp offerings and our summer camp offerings. So let's say you are receiving through our financial aid program, you're receiving a 30% reduction in your tuition investment at Giddens. That same level of reduction will apply to all of these other areas of school life. So we don't want families experiencing, let me say it this way, we want families to be able to engage in all of school life at Giddens School. So when we make a commitment to add you to our community, we want you to have access to all aspects of school life. And so our aim is that your financial aid package addresses all of those areas. And we do rely on family experience to help us continue to make improvements to our financial aid program. So at any point, if you are experiencing challenges related to how we distribute aid in our program, we would like to hear from you. We want your experience is important to us, and we want to make sure that we're addressing issues that we can address related to this. I should mention that families who receive a fully discounted tuition at 100% will also receive our subsidized hot lunch program. So we have a program at school that families can opt into, a hot lunch program, and that package will include the hot lunch program. So a little bit about our process. Financial aid decisions are made by committee, independent from the admissions decisions. So we have an admissions committee that is considering the admissibility of a student, meaning, do we have the kind of program and services that can support that child, and will make admissions decisions based on the evaluation of the school side of the application. That committee makes those decisions separate from financial aid. They are not part of the financial aid, or the financial aid does not factor in at that stage any decisions related to admissions. Once the admissions committee has made decisions about who we're going to offer a placement for the next school year, then we look to the financial aid committee to see if any of those families have also applied for aid. If those families have applied for aid, then we take that aid award that the financial aid committee decided, and when the family receives their enrollment offer, they receive their enrollment offer with the aid package. So we don't want families to have to make a decision about enrolling without information about their financial aid package. So that will happen together when we offer enrollment contracts. The financial aid committee is making financial aid decisions on every application we receive, regardless of what the admissions committee decides about enrollment. So that's where it becomes a blind process. However, we have limited resources in how much financial aid we can offer, and we try our best to distribute that financial aid evenly across all the grade bands. If we have a family that we would like to accept, but we don't have aid left in that grade band, we will not make that offer of enrollment for you because we can't additionally make the commitment of financial aid, if that makes sense. So we're not going to put you in a situation where you have to make a decision about enrolling when we know that you're dependent upon financial aid in order to do that. So that's when those processes come together. So starting your application. So we are testing a new financial aid application system called Clarity Tuition. And ourselves and a number of our peer schools are piloting this new platform this year. So there's some learning for us to do as we go through this, but we're really excited to offer this new application because we think that the user experience is going to be greatly improved. So what Clarity Tuition is committing to is an easier overall process in filling out an application. So the application itself is more streamlined, easier to use. You can fill it out completely from a mobile device if that's your preference to do so. And if you have all of your information in place, meaning that you have the information available to you to answer and respond to the question prompts in the application, Clarity is estimating that it should take a family anywhere between 15 minutes and a half an hour to complete that application, if that gives you an idea of that time commitment. Now, that may vary from family to family based on your financial landscape. But we are hopeful that with this new platform, we're offering families an easier experience because, again, there are a lot of barriers that can be in the way of a family being able to enroll at a school, and the application itself, the financial aid application itself, can for some families be a barrier, and so we're trying to minimize that. So we look forward to hearing from you as you go through the process, your experience with Clarity. You can visit our financial aid page for more information on how to apply with a direct link to Clarity Tuition. So we would encourage you to leverage that resource. I think Mindy has put the direct link in the chat. But if you go to getinschool.org and you go to how to apply, you'll see the tab for our financial aid page. It's pretty easy to navigate to. So as I was mentioning, you want to gather all of the necessary information and documents needed to answer the application. The application looks primarily at these three categories: income, assets, and debt. The other considerations section can include or explain expenses like medical or some disaster not captured in the application itself. So you want to make sure that if you have particular features to your financial aid, to your financial picture that are not adequately being captured in the other parts of the application, please use the other considerations section so that the committee can use that information to help guide us toward a financial aid package that will actually meet your needs. I'm going to stop there, Rajeshwari. It sounds like there might be some questions.
Yes, there's a question. If you are currently on financial aid, will there be things auto-populated from the last year's application already, or will we have to start a new one this year?
Great question. My understanding is, because this is a completely new platform, so we used to use school and student services, that you will have to build this, you will have to put in all of that information into Clarity. And hopefully that's not too labor intensive. Again, they're promising a much quicker process than some of these other applications provide. However, it may be that then the next year, now that if we stay with Clarity, that then some of that information will auto-populate from the previous year. But that's my understanding, is that you're kind of starting from the beginning because we're using a new platform here. It's also my understanding that the access to your tax documents will happen automatically once you provide Clarity with permission to pull your tax documents. Maybe I'm not saying that completely clearly, but you're not going to have to upload any tax documents directly into your application, that the application itself will speak to whatever the institution is that's holding those tax documents, and those will get uploaded through that way. So that also alleviates the challenge of actually having to maybe scan a document and upload it into the application. I will say that in order to engage this work objectively, we do rely on the application to use a formula to come up with an aid amount, an amount that you're eligible to receive. And we use that as the basis for making our decisions. However, as I was referencing, if there are other things we need to be considering, please make those visible to us so we can make the appropriate adjustments. So an application is considered completed when all required sections are completed, all required documents are received and verified, and the application fee is submitted. Now, this is our first dealing with taking families through Clarity. If the application fee is a barrier, please reach out so we can work with Clarity to get a waiver for you. I believe Clarity will automatically waive the application fee for families that qualify. So as you're building your application, it's making a determination of that qualification. I believe that's the case. We'll have to wait and hear back from families around that experience. However, I just want to underscore, we do not want the application fee to be a barrier. So please be in communication with us. And as we're kind of working through this process with this new application. We asked for completed application due Thursday, February 2nd. Let me stop here. So we know that families, don't have their tax filings completed for the 2022 year yet. However, everyone should have their W-2 forms by February 2nd. So those can be used. We allow families the full filing deadline that the federal government offers to submit your completed tax filing. So that's not a concern. We know that there are some families that need that full period in order to do their taxes. So once your taxes are completed and filed, we'll have access to that through Clarity, and we know that we may not receive those until the filing deadline that's set by the federal government. Rajeshwari, was there an additional question related to that or anything I can
You
address?
answered that. Yes, you answered it. The
Great.
question was, do we have to first file taxes for this year, or is it something we can provide later?
That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So we want you to get started right now. You're going to use whatever tax information you have available to you now. And then, like I said, once that filing deadline passes, we'll understand that we'll have the completed, those completed tax documents. But yeah, if you could complete the application with the materials that you have by February 2nd, that gives the committee the information it needs to make a financial aid decision. And then we'll wait on those tax documents as those come in, as families file those. And we know February 2nd, it's not a realistic time for a lot of people to be completing that process. So
So I added in the
yeah.
comment, if I can jump in.
Sure.
The Clarity application is going to require you to submit your 2021 tax filing. So that information from your tax filing for 2021 is what the system will use to do a calculation. Which is
Thank
the
you.
other reason why we ask for you to communicate in other considerations, because we understand that between 2021 and now, there could be some changes in financial circumstance for families.
And there's also another question. If our taxes, when we actually finish them, are different than what our estimate was, does the aid get adjusted when they're completed?
So we think about it as a provisional award and then a final award. It's very rare that there is such a significant difference between what you put in this initial stage of completing your application and what happens when you do your tax filings. If there is a significant difference, then we will follow up to address that and make those adjustments. Although we don't encounter that very often, at least not that I can recall. Most of the time, families, even if they haven't done their tax filing, they have a very solid understanding of through their W-2s what their income was, and are able to get those numbers pretty close to what they'll be and what they'll be reflected in the tax filing. So it's not going to really have any impact in terms of making an adjustment. However, if that is the case, if we see a huge discrepancy in terms of what you inputted and what your tax documents show, then you could expect to hear back from the school around an adjustment to your final award. But we certainly hope that that's not the case. We would like the awards that we offer you to be held in place, and that's been our experience. So for current families, if you're joining us today and you're a current family, you will receive a re-enrollment contract with your financial aid offer on February 10th. So again, those go together. And then for new families, we offer enrollment contracts to all of our new families on March 17th. And if you applied and qualified for financial aid, you will get your financial aid package with your offer to enroll. So you'll have all the information that you need to make that decision on that day. So you can expect your application to fall into kind of one of these general categories. So most often you'll get an offer of financial aid at the level your application qualifies you for, right? And we hope that that's more or less straightforward. If you qualify for a $20,000 reduction in your tuition investment, then that's what we want to set your award at. You may receive a notice that that you did not qualify because your income and assets exceed the threshold to qualify. So what that means is if your capacity to pay exceeds what our tuition amount is, then that's disqualifying, because what basically the application is revealing is that you can afford the full cost of tuition. You may also receive a notice that you qualify for aid, but will be placed in our wait pool because, to reference back to what I was saying before, we do have a finite amount of aid dollars that we can distribute to our families. So it may be that we have to wait pool our offer to you while we confirm that, in fact, we can offer you that financial aid package that you qualify for. So that could also happen as well. We hope not. But that could take place. So there is some sort of movement that happens in that that March time period as we are enrolling families and hearing back from families whether they're going to accept our offer to enroll or not. And so it's quite it's very typical that aid is then re-released because those families have declined our offer, and now we have that aid again, and so we can go to our weight pooled families and then apply that aid package to them. So those are kind of the three categories that you can kind of expect to fall into. I should use this moment. Oh, okay. We already have a slide for it. Never mind. Appeals and revisions. So if you do not believe your financial aid offer was calculated correctly, again, please use that financial aid at getinschool.org to communicate your appeal. If at any point to the start of the school year or during the school year, your ability to pay dramatically changes, that could be a loss of a job or a reduction of salary or some other extenuating circumstance that really limits your capacity, please contact us to request an adjustment to your financial aid package. At the end of the day, although we rely on this application to help guide us in our decision making, we also want to be really responsive to our individual families. So if what we're offering does not match up to what your expectations are in terms of what you can afford, we really do want you to reach out. Our goal is to make sure that we are assigning awards appropriately for every family. And so sometimes that information is not clearly visible to us. And so we need your help to help us think about making any of those adjustments. So please understand that we expect this to be part of the process, and you're not bothering us at all by engaging that way. We definitely want to make revisions where appropriate. So please do use that mechanism if you should find yourself in that spot. Okay, I know we're already at 1 o'clock, but we're happy to stay on the call and work through any more questions that folks have. So Rajeshwar, I'm gonna let you kind of let me know what those are.
So it's a question. It says also, is it possible for families' income may have changed in the fall 2023? Income decrease, which would impact the next school year, but taxes for 2022 would not reflect that. Our family is trying to juggle all of our decisions and about the school choices and job changes, et cetera. And how does that figure into all of this?
Mindy, jump in. I'll try to kind of work towards an answer on this. We want your financial aid package to reflect the reality of your financial aid situation now, right? We know that you're working off of, or what we're asking for is your 2021 tax forms as a placehold until you file your taxes for 2022. You again may already be aware of some changes to your financial aid to your financial landscape that isn't going to be captured easily in this interim period. So you do need to communicate that to us so that we can make an appropriate offer of financial aid. I think that addresses the question.
Yeah, I would say to agree with what you said, Ken, we would think about the award that we're giving now as a representation of your capacity now. We do have some aid available to families, and it is good to know in advance if you're anticipating the potential of a change to your financial outlook in the coming year, but we wouldn't proactively provide aid for a subsequent event, if you know what I mean. But we would revisit with an individual family, and there are ways that we can sort of help bridge a gap between the financial aid award and then maybe a change in a family's capacity to pay. There is a review process for that though. So it kind of depends on the circumstances around that change in need.
Are there other questions that we should be addressing? Well, we are at the end of our time. I have recorded this. I will share this out with both our current community, and I will be sharing this with families that are applying to get in school. So all of this information will be available to families, and I'll probably land this on our website somewhere as another place to view that recording. Really appreciate you joining us. Please just reach out to us along the way if you're, having questions or concerns. We don't want to have this be an unnecessarily stressful experience. And again, I just want to call out, we're piloting Clarity Tuition for the first time this year. So we're also in a learning curve with Clarity Tuition, and we will be kind of working through this together with you, but looking forward to kind of engaging families in this process. So thank you very much for being here. We appreciate it, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.